Temperaments and its influence. The psalmist in the book of Psalms, they clearly expressed why the study of man is a most fascinating experience. And he says that because he is fearfully and wonderfully made. David told us that he is fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of who? Of God. So now, temperaments are going to show us how we can appreciate how we were fearfully and wonderfully made. It is now going to show us that we need to appreciate who we are. It's going to help us to understand how our friends were we are made, who they are, how can we relate with them. Can I understand my weakness? Can I understand my strength? Can I use that strength to perhaps fill a gap somewhere in my weakness? Or can you understand somebody's weakness and then provide a helping hand to that person? And you get to see all of us doing what? Moving. We together, eh? So, a person's nature, especially as it permanently affects this what? Their behavior. That is a temperament. A person's nature will always affect their what? Their behavior. So, each man is unique, one, and is different from all others, with many variations, yet there is much similarity to what? To each other. You may try to see yourself as similar to one, but something is going to define you differently. Are we together? Something is going to define you what? Differently. Concerning this temperament. So, a person's temperament is formed as an infant and never changes. So, it simply develops over time. Your temperament is formed as an infant and does not what? Change. It will only be developed. If you're born a choleric, you may not change it. You get? You may not change it, but you may develop ways of living outside that. Are we together? With time. Or you may get to learn how to be outside that situation. Are we together? So, it's a way to recognize consistent personality traits when you look at these temperaments. You're going to see if I'm melancholy, what personality follows me up? Oftentimes you will rarely find a melancholy who is extroverted. Are we together? You may hardly find a melancholy who is an extrovert. However, they are there. Why? You may be sharing you may be having a primary temperament and then a secondary temperament. And the secondary temperament pushes you to be an extrovert. Are we together? Simply because what you are has been defined by some trait in you. We're getting it? So, when you talk of the 4 temperaments, where did they come from? First of all, the temperaments that we're going to talk about, we have the temperament of melancholy, then we have the sanguine, we have the phlegmatic, then we have the what? The choleric. Those are the 4 temperaments that we want to do what? To talk about. However, when you try to look at a brief history of where they originated from, they say that these they originated in ancient Egypt or Asia Minor. Are we together? So, it is believed that they were first written about by the Greek physician called Hippocrates around 460 to 377 BC in relation to the four humors and health. So they were expanded by later on they were expanded by the Roman physician called Galen between 130 to 201 CE in temperament model and named them the what? The sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, and then melancholic. So this is the guy who gave them the what? The names. Galen named these temperaments. Are we together? Then later on, work was extended by Kant between 1724 and 1904, still studying about these temperaments. They were studying to know how can we understand human beings, how can we get to know ourselves, how can we get to know who we are in our daily lives. Mason still continued to do the same study in 1893 to 1947. Clark came again and studied the same stuff in 1940. And other professionals have helped us to explore and expand this theory of knowing who we are. For us here, we are looking at them briefly. But people have even taken courses to understand who actually is this person. That's why we're able to get this literature that we now get to study and then try to look at ourselves physically and get to know our lives, to know who we are. So current research with MRI suggests that physiological evidence is based on neuro-hormone interactions when you are defining these temperaments. So, what are they according to what they say? They say that temperament is a cluster of inborn traits that causes you in part to do what you do. We're on the same page, eh? Are we on the same page? Humble. Are we on the same page? You ask. Where do you get lost from? Okay. You're going to find us on our way. We've not yet gone far. So, temperament is a cluster of inborn traits that causes you in part to do what you do. So, you sitting there and thinking of something could be driven by something in you. And then you moving out to go for parties while somebody else is seated, could have attended the same party but is not in for that party. It is because of the temperament that is pushing that person to do what he or she is doing at the moment. So we say that temperament will influence the way one thinks first, behaves, interacts with others, with themselves, and then the world. Just know that the way you interact with yourself is defined by who you are. The way you interact with someone else is defined by the way. No, by what you are. Your interaction is not defined by other people. It is defined by you yourself. That's why they say first understand yourself before you can understand what? Others. That's what takes us back to what God said, what God told us, that be aware that some people, what they express to you outside may not be what they are inside. You get? So the four temperaments are represented by four distinct clusters of traits or tendencies. So each cluster of traits will produce a different pattern of the way the person will understand cognitively, in terms of thought, emotion, how you express yourself, motivation, what pushes you to do what you do, and then behavior that is different from other groups. We together up to that point? Omulaba ngenda speed, you tell me to reduce, eh? Musawo, are we together? Mark. So all people have a blend of traits on a sliding scale of intensity. When we say a blending, like a blend of traits, we say that no one is having a perfect temperament. At least they always have that dominant trait that is going to suppress that secondary trait. The secondary trait will only come in case that the primary one is put at a halt. Some of you did biology. You can relate now. The genetics. There's always that dominant trait that if you're black, you are always going to give birth to black. If it's black is a dominant trait. However, you can be having that suppressed gene of you being able to give birth to a light-skinned person or actually a light-skinned person because there is that trait in you. However, when it gets chance that it can now get to be passed on, you're going to find yourself, you may either give birth to a dark-skinned daughter, dark-skinned son, and then you have a light-skinned boy. Then they'll say, Omwana si wo. They'll always say that. But for them forgetting that you had that trait but it was suppressed, now when it got chance, we call them recessive genes. When it got chance to be expressed, it now gave it now became dominant and it was now superior. So that likewise, all people have a blend of traits on a sliding scale of intensity. We get it? So usually 1 or 2 are dominant, but they cannot all be dominant. At least one is always above the other one. We're together. So now let's try to go ahead to know points that we need to remember when working with temperaments. Points that we need to know when we are when we are working with temperaments. This, we need to understand that we are not intended to pigeonhole, or when we talk about temperaments, we are not trying to create a gap or use it as a means of moving from exclusion or misunderstanding, but we are trying to look at a point of acceptance or cooperation. So when you understand that I'm not good at making friends, it does not lead you to say, if you're not good at making friends, then you don't need to be my friend. You get? But it's driving you at a point of knowing, okay, Cyrus is not good at making friends. How can I relate with such a person in my daily life? You get? In case a person is not agreeing with somebody, we're going to look at that temperament that for them they like to continue with arguments. But then there is this personality. They'll always create that win-win situation. Let us, okay, for us to end that, we need to do this. So you're going to learn. If I need to calm down a situation, whom among these can I approach to have the situation calmed? That is what we're driving at. And then we need to know, a point to consider else is, all the 4 temperaments are absolutely necessary in the world at large. We shall get to know. I need a sanguine at one moment. I need a melancholic person at one moment. I need a phlegmatic person at a certain point of time. And then I need a person who is what? Who is choleric. We together? Yes.
I'm suggesting that you move the operator is really behind. Things are so small.
Things are so small.
We're not seeing anything.
How would you see if you just move around?
So small. Gonna kusandaza n'ibintu. Where is it?